So we'll begin with the head and neck routine after you've sanitized your hands once again, and after you've spoken to your person to see whether or not there are any concerns they have regarding cream on their face and their hair. Although we won't be using very much cream at all. So take a little bit of cream to begin with on your fingers. And the first step is to line your hands up with their ears. Have your fingers going straight towards where their neck meets their shoulder, and curl your fingers in and begin to do circular friction, asking them to allow their jaw to relax, their tongue to relax so that their jaw will relax, and continue doing this friction circles all the way up to the mastoid process, the bony feature that is behind their ear. Work there for a bit, take your hands away and begin again, repeating this over and over for as long as you like. Feel your fingers sink in more readily as they begin to relax their neck muscles. Moving your fingers only in the direction towards yourself. The second step is where you'll tuck your hands to each side of their head very closely. Then take your hand and roll the head over to the hand on the bottom. And then with your top hand, you'll work on the bone on the bottom of their skull, working from the mastoid process along the edge of their skull all the way to that hole that is where their cervical spine disappears into their head. Back and forth, finding an area or spot that may need more attention. Your receiver may even suggest that, oh, that's the area to spend more time in. Maybe their tension headaches are rooted along this particular area. The second part of this step is to provide a traction with the hand that is under their head, and then using your hand that had been working along the bottom of their skull, place that hand, the cushion of the whole palm, on top of their shoulder, and lean towards their shoulder. So you're pulling slightly with the hand that's under their head and leaning forward with the hand that's on their shoulder. You have a little bit of a push-pull, so you get a slight stretching motion between their neck and their shoulder. You can move back and forth in this area. You'll take your hand that was once on their shoulder, bring it again to be between the massage table and their head, and with your other hand that was under, you roll their head right onto that hand. And you can see more clearly now what we were doing with that hand before. We'll do on this side, taking fingers from the mastoid process all along the bottom of their skull, just the edge, along the occipital ridge, all the way to the medulla oblongata, the hole that their neck spine disappears into. You can work all around that area, using your fingertips to give a pressure that is strong enough so you can feel the changes in the texture underneath the skin. You can feel the changes. Also, you could feel the shape of the bottom of their skull if you give enough pressure. You can see how that changes back and forth. And the second part of this step is to take this hand, place the cushy area of the palm right over the top of their shoulder, and lean your body in that direction. And at the same time, you can take the hand that's under the head and just slightly pull. You can repeat that again as often as they like, or as often as you want to do that. Bring your hand back and bring your head back to center. The next step will be more difficult to see, but you'll take both of your hands, slide them inside of the t-shirt, and you have your fingers situated on each side of the spine. Little fingers are closest to the spine. You're curling your fingers up and pressing up and pulling towards yourself at the same time, and then bringing your fingers to end up providing traction. You can see my fingers underneath the bottom of the skull providing traction, as though you were going to pull their head towards you, or you are pulling your head towards us. Providing the traction, maybe for 5 or 6 seconds, and then releasing your hands and repeating this. Again, you're sliding your hands inside their t-shirt as far as they can go comfortably, curling your fingers upwards, providing pressure upwards, and then following the curve of their neck on each side of the spine, and providing enough pressure so that when you get to the bottom of their skull, you're able to give pressure and lean back using your body weight to provide a traction, a pull. So it is like a stretch massage along the sides, or I should say the back of their neck, along the sides of the spine. So you can repeat that again over and over. So we only did that 3 times there, but you can do that again multiple times. We'll now move into taking your hands on each side of the front of the neck, just like that, sliding up. So you have hands where you have the fingers in front of the earlobe, and you begin to give circular pressure one side at a time so that you can attend to the differences that you'll find in the jaw joint area. Maybe you're going to use 2 fingers, maybe 3, depending on the size of your fingers and their head. Just begin to give a slow pressure to begin with. You can change your position slightly, but it will be mostly just right in front of their earlobe area. Sinking in. For some people, this area can be very tender. So moving in slowly. And then you'll switch over. That hand will provide support on one side, and you'll work on the other side. Ask them to relax their jaw, relax the tongue in their mouth, and that will help them to relax their jaw. Obviously, you can spend much more time on each jaw joint area than I'm doing right now. You end up with your hands on each side of their face, slide your fingers up to the temple area that's beside their eyes. Use the full flat of your fingers, the whole finger pressing against the temple area on each side, so that you won't give ever too much pressure along the temple area. But you can give a good solid pressure because it's spread over the entire finger, and just give a soothing circular pressure. This time you can ask them to allow their muscles around their eyes to relax, let their eyelids get heavy. You do it in both directions. Then we're going to move to the forehead. Take your thumbs, place between the eyebrows, give a pressure, move towards yourself, and then go above the eyebrows, have the thumbs meet the fingers. Repeat this. Begin between the eyebrows, move a little bit closer towards yourself, and then thumbs meet fingers. Repeat this over all the way up to the hairline. Now we're going to move to this whole scalp, starting from the front of the neck, taking your three smaller fingers, going behind the ear, right behind the ear, and right where, as I say, the ear is sewn to the skull, and give a circular pressure with your fingers on that bony area behind the entire ear. We're opening up the temporal lobe area. And it's also at this time that you can ask whether or not your person would like ear massage. And if that's the case, then you'll give them one. If not, then continue working right behind the ear. So if they want an ear massage, you take your thumb and press on one side, fingers on the other. This is a good thing to practice on yourself first, just to see how that feels. Feeling the ear cartilage. Okay, so that was the opening of the temple area. Now the next area is on the back of the head. It's hard to see, but I'm going to take my hands, bring them right underneath, and hold my receiver's head in my hands. So my fingers are right at the base of the skull, fingertips are right at the base of the skull. The rest of my hand is holding their head. Just ask them to release their head a little bit more. Let your head relax. And then you slide your fingers toward yourself, and your fingers can press upwards. And I'm using the weight of the head to press into my fingertips, and I'm moving my fingers around. So you get a little bit of a bobblehead experience here. So the weight of the head, the 10 pounds perhaps, is pressing into your fingertips. If that's too much weight for your fingers, you could lift the head up, and you're still using the weight of the head on your fingers as you use your arms to lift up, as opposed to just push your fingers up and using your finger pressure. And you go all the way there. Let the head release down, and now you put your fingers on the parietal bone area. So you really want to be giving enough pressure here to move the scalp. You want to see the scalp move. You can change the position of your fingers a little bit, but you want to lean forward, use lots of pressure. Again, you might see their hair as a move as you're moving the scalp. Lastly, we're going to work on top of the head. Take your thumbs, the very center seam, put your thumbs together either beside each other or on top of each other, and move your thumbs in a circular motion. You can lean forward and do this. So you're using your body weight back and forth. It's one of the few areas that you can use your body weight to apply pressure in this part of the routine. Start to move your thumbs towards the very center of the top of their head, leaning in, giving a circular pressure. Find the very center of the top of their head. Move slower and slower and slower until your thumbs come to a stop. Then let your thumbs stay there with that pressure for a few seconds before you just release your hands. And there you've worked on their head and neck, and you've done the last routine of our full body massage.